Nancy Cordes is at a polling spot in Lexington, Kentucky. Nancy, we appreciate the time today. So Bernie Sanders looks to win the progressive state, as you said, of Oregon today. But a win in Kentucky for Bernie Sanders would be something of a surprise, considering, again, as you referenced yesterday, a 35-point win for Hillary Clinton back in 2008, and the fact that Kentucky is a closed primary. So what, if nothing else, to make of the optics today of a Bernie Sanders win in Kentucky for the Clinton campaign?
Well, he would be able to claim that he is really dominating in this final stretch. It would be a four-state winning streak, and we're not just talking about small states. Kentucky, is a pretty solid state to win, especially because, unlike West Virginia, where Clinton got trounced by Sanders last week, there are more minorities here. It is, as you pointed out, a closed primary, meaning that independents who often favor Bernie Sanders can't vote. So it would be a stinging loss, especially because Clinton has been campaigning here pretty aggressively over the past week. She invested several $100,000 in ads. She's been here for days. Bill Clinton came here and campaigned as well because they're trying to sort of turn the tide and at least pick up one state in this final stretch before she gets to New Jersey and California, where she thinks that things will go better for her.
Also, pro-Clinton super PAC has now released a new ad lining up Donald Trump, featuring women lip-syncing some of his more divisive lines. I think you could say, let's take a quick look and listen.
You could see there was blood coming out of her eyes, blood coming out of her wherever. Does she have a good body? No. Does she have a fat ass? Absolutely.
You like girls that are 5'1", they come up to you know where.
If Ivanka weren't my daughter, perhaps I'd be dating her.
I view a person who's flat-chested is very hard to be a 10.
And you can tell that.
In rewriting so many of the rules that have applied to the past to presidential candidates, Nancy, remarks like this did not appear to hurt Donald Trump in the primary. So what's the reasoning then in the creation of this ad?
The reasoning is that, according to our exit polling in 2012, women made up 53% of the electorate. And right now, women have an overwhelmingly negative view of Donald Trump, according to most polls. And so the Democrats believe that if they can kind of cement those views now, that they will help Hillary Clinton tremendously. It doesn't hurt that the ad, frankly, is funny, which makes it memorable. And it reminds men, for instance, of some of the things that Trump has said, as you played in the clip, about women, about his own daughter, and they feel that that's something that could turn off men as well. It's worth noting that they weren't planning to air these ads for another few weeks. They were going to wait this Super PAC Priorities USA until after the final primaries in June, but they felt that Hillary Clinton was just too bogged down in these primaries. They sort of thought she'd be free of them by now, but clearly she's going to have to run hard against Bernie Sanders until the very end, and not quite able to make that pivot to focusing on Trump. And so the Super PAC moved up its ad buy to start going after Donald Trump now, spending an extra $6 million or so.
Certainly seem to have an added impact considering the current headlines regarding Donald Trump. And you mentioned that pivot that the Clinton campaign has looked to make. Yesterday, again, for all the world, she did still seem as though a general election candidate, and in so campaigning, hinted again, as her campaign would point out later in the day, that her husband would have an economic role in her administration. What, if any, risks does that come with?
Well, certainly it risks giving off the appearance that she is sort of outsourcing one of the biggest roles of a president, which is to focus on jobs, to her husband. On the other hand, she is trying to make the case to both Democratic and Republican voters that the economy has been pretty good under Democratic presidents, and that's why they should give her a shot at the White House. And so she's pointing at two presidencies, both Barack Obama's, which she says got this nation out of a recession, created hundreds of thousands of jobs, and her husband's presidency back in the 90s, when she argues that things were really good and wages rose for everyone. And so by arguing that she is going to put her husband in charge of this key portfolio, revitalizing communities, creating jobs, she's trying to remind voters that he did it once and he could do it again.
Nancy Cordes, the Democrats. Thank you.
You're welcome.